Sampurasun, Kumusta, Sawadee Namaste, and good morning. Sorry, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the public conference of Asian Youth Initiative Conference 2020. Today, the conference is going to raise the subject of enhancing Asian access in Asian through sustainable development goals. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome and thank you all very much for taking time off of your busy schedule to join us today. It is an honor for us to have you here, and may I rhetorically ask, how are you all doing today? I surely hope you are all in good health, both physically and mentally. May we all have a pleasant and productive time today. First and foremost, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Ardi Arfikri Akbar. I am an undergraduate international relations student in Universitas Padjadjaran, and I am honored to be your host for today. And on behalf of the committee, allow me to extend my deepest gratitude to our sponsors and partners whose contribution have made this conference possible. To our sponsor, Titil, you may find them at titil.co.id, and to our partners, media partners, ISEC Unpad, Grow Up Unpad, Foreign Policy Community Indonesia Chapter Unpad, Himahi UMM, Atmajaya Radio, BEM Visip UNS, Himahi Unpad, Himahi ISIP, Himahi UPN Veteran Jakarta, PPIDK Oceania Asia, Magenta FM, BEMKM IPB, Campus Update, and Komahi UMY. Thank you all very much. Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin our occasion of the day, I humbly request that let us bow our heads to take a brief moment of silent prayer to recognize God's blessing. For we are truly blessed to have the opportunity to virtually congregate here today, hopefully in good health. So, moment of silent prayer begins now. Thank you all. Thank you very much. May God's blessings surround you each day, and may today's affair be fruitful and inspirational for all of us. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in order to have a smooth sailing ahead, I would like to set several ground rules for today's conference. So please bear with me. Public Conference of AYIC 2020 rules. Number 1, participants are expected to enter Zoom meeting room no later than 1:15 p.m. using the registered email. Number 2, participants are required to rename their Zoom display name according to the format, which is institution_full name. Number 3, participants are expected to stay in the room unless there are connection problems. Number 4, participants are not allowed to turn on their microphone during the expert's presentation. And number 5, in order to earn your certificate of attendance, participants must fill out an evaluation form, which will be shared through a link at the end of the conference. So stick through the conference, ladies and gentlemen. The certificate will then be sent directly through your email. Ladies and gentlemen, throughout the afternoon, the AYIC will satisfy your curiosity with a series of thought-provoking presentations by experts from various fields. So be ready to shoot your question for a golden opportunity like this. A golden opportunity to broaden your horizon does not come that often. And afterwards, our distinguished delegates are also going to deliver a presentation from their respective SDGs chamber. Now, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, to offer you a better perspective on today's proceedings, we shall now listen to an opening remark, yes, by the chairwoman of AYIC 2020. So, to Ms. Milani Hartina, the screen is yours.
Thank you very much, MC. So, to the distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor for me to welcome you to the public conference of ASEAN Youth Initiative Conference 2020. I am very grateful for our speakers today, the Honorable Dr. Yang Mi Ang, Executive Director of ASEAN Foundation, Mrs. Ainul Jula from SDG Specialist for UNDP Indonesia, Emmanuel Mirus Esponon, Founder and Executive Director of ASEAN Youth Advocates Network and YAP. Also our moderator today, Ms. Amira Bilkis, Vice President of ASEAN University Student Council Union, and our honorable guest, Kang Rizal Ilham Pratama as Chairman of Pajajaran University for taking time off of your busy schedule. It is an honor and pleasure for us to have amazing people together here this morning to attend the public conference of ASEAN Youth Initiative Conference. The ASEAN Youth Initiative Conference was born as a platform to meet, discuss, and initiate ASEAN issues through the perspective of SDGs. This idea was formed due to the youth enthusiasm in ASEAN region to discuss some specific issues. As a platform for global youth to discuss, ASEAN Youth Initiative Conference gather various perspectives in conveying youth aspirations related to the Sustainable Development Goals, specifically to solve problems that exist in ASEAN countries. The purpose of this year's AYIC are to increase youth's awareness of global challenges and the means to solve them by improving youth's capabilities in critical thinking and problem-solving ideas, and provide a platform of interaction for the youth to expand their network on an international level. Bringing enhancing access to support sustainable ASEAN development as our grand theme has the meaning to improving quality with a focus on the problem of lack of access to the opportunity, which is the reason why inequality is still an issue in the world. We believe to support the development of ASEAN, a door or road must be opened to improve access so that inequality can be reduced. With this access, the quality of manpower in the country will become more qualified so that it can generate SDGs growth to achieve sustainable prosperity and achieve the goals Rise to Achieve. Rise to Achieve as our goals hold a philosophical meaning for us. As we conduct this event during this outbreak situation, we believe there are no obstacles such as pandemic to stop us to rise above the sky and aim for the sun, for the better sustainable ASEAN development. I hope ASEAN Youth Initiative Conference can be one of the memorable events of this year for you to attend, and I hope our discussion can be one step ahead and help the development sustainability of ASEAN country. My name is Milani Hatinabawa as the Project Officer of ASEAN Youth Initiative Conference 2020. Thank you very, very much.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Ms. Chairwoman, for the very warm opening remark. It was amazing. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in order to embrace the spirit of the Southeast Asian nations, we are going to enter the public conference agenda by singing together the official anthem of the Asian Way. You do not need to turn on your microphone, but please turn on your camera. Operator, please take it away.
Sky high, embrace the pride in our heart. ASEAN, we are born as one, looking onward to the world. Oh, please now go from where there is love and for prosperity to last. We dare to dream, we dare to share.
Splendid. Now, we shall enter to our main agenda for today. Ladies and gentlemen, today's public conference is going to be led by a moderator. Allow me to introduce you to her. Can I see the CV, please? Amazing. Now, ladies and gentlemen, our moderator for today is a passionate law graduate hailing from Universitas Indonesia with an abundant amount of experience in the international law and environmental policy research. She holds a dear interest in climate change, renewable energy, and public policy issues. And with a breathtaking resume decorated with academic awards and achievements, work and organizational experience, topped with international conference participation, she aspires to contribute to Indonesia as a policy expert pertinent to climate-related issues. Now, with a thunderous round of applause using the reaction button, please welcome our moderator for the day, Ms. Amira Bilkis.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Ardi, for the splendid introductions. So my name is Amira Bilkis. I'm here going to moderate the sessions that we are going today in today's AYAC 2020. And today we are having three different speakers, and three of them is actually coming from different institutions, and one of them is actually a youth. So I'll just gonna brief out a bit about what we are going to do today. So the first, we are going to have the expertise to have their presentations for around 20 minutes or 30 minutes, and then followed by a question and answer sessions for each speakers. And then afterwards, we are going to have each chamber representative to present what they have been discussed about in the last days. And I am gladly thank to the committee for the opportunity today. And today, the sessions we are going to have is enhancing access in ASEAN through SDGs. And I would like to remind all the participants to write their questions on the chat box with the name of the intended speakers, of course, so that later on, after the question and answer sessions begin, I will gonna ask you to speak, perhaps an open mic if you are willing to do so, so that you can actually interact directly to our experts. And without further ado, I would like to introduce our first speakers. The first speaker is Dr. Yang. Dr. Yang is currently an executive director of ASEAN Foundation, a prominent ASEAN institution by producing a cadre of young leaders that can guide the region in years to come. Dr. Yang is actually worked in both private and government sectors for over 26 years. It's amazing how long she has dedicated her life to both of the sectors. And she was most recently as the senior vice president at the Alpha Cup. So for your information, previously she has been working with the private sectors, and she actually already assisted a lot of SMEs, companies, and led the development and executions of Bloconomic Expo 2019, a platform aimed at creating a fast network of blockchain entrepreneurs and developers. So we know that she has a vast knowledge both from the private and government sectors. And for your information, she also was the CEO of the GameView, the largest mobile game publisher in Malaysia. So without further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Yang to speak on the delivery of the SDGs material regarding to what she has been working in the past years. Without further ado, Dr. Yang, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, moderator Amira Bilkis, for the most warm welcome, and also the organizing committee of this event today. It is my great pleasure and honor to be invited for ASEAN Youth Initiative Conference 2020. And I'm glad to say that I'm proud of all of you, the young people here, full of enthusiasm and passion passionate even during this COVID-19 pandemic time. It didn't stop us from moving forward. So thank you for doing this, and thank you for organizing this amazing gathering of all these knowledgeable and smart leaders in the future. So without further ado, I would like to actually share with you our ASEAN Foundation's perspective on SDGs. Let me just have a quick introduction on, some of you might not be aware, who is ASEAN Foundation. So for me, ASEAN Foundation is ASEAN body. We are ASEAN Charter. So we created back in 1997, over 20 years, to bridge the gap of people-to-people connection in ASEAN. Because earlier when the ASEAN was set out 50 years ago, they actually noticed after 30 years, they found out that there's something lacking in ASEAN. What is lacking? The people-to-people connections. So that's why we are born in 1997, connect people. So I hope that, most of you here has somehow indirect and directly dealt with ASEAN Foundation before, or actually participated in some of our programs before. So because of the nature of our programs and also our supporters and funders and partners, so we focus pretty much on 15 to 34 years old youth. But of course, if you ask me, just now Amira was mentioning in one of the speaker, Myros is actually a youth. No? Unfortunately, I'm not a youth. I used to be a youth, so I'm already past that level. So hopefully with my journey, of my life, I can actually do some enlightenment to youth here. Now, give you a little bit of light of guidance as a senior. So we also reporting under 10 ASEAN member states. Some of you might ask the questions, what is the connection between ASEAN Secretariat and ASEAN Foundation? Actually, we are like a brother and sisters. There's always question whether we report under ASEAN Secretariat. We didn't report under them, but we share the same boss. So our bosses are actually the 10 boards. Our bosses are actually the ASEAN member states, the ambassadors to ASEAN. So 10 of them, we report to the same bosses. So, but we do everything in concurrent and in line with whatever has been laid down by ASEAN Secretariat through their 3 pillars. Later I'll share with you. So you have some ideas how the setup of ASEAN. It's pretty much quite complex, but if you look at it as a whole, it is only 3 pillars that running the whole show. And then the 3 pillars actually support the SDGs initiative that we have 17 right now. So if you look at the pillars on the right of the slides, that is what ASEAN Foundation is doing right now. So the symbol, the first one is arts and cultural. And the second one is education. The third one is social development. And the fourth one is media. So many people ask media means what? Media means social journalism, video competitions, programs, and all that. We wanted to upgrade and to prepare this 21st century skill. For your information, 21st century skill not only SNT, also include video, media, blogging, writings, journalism, reportings, So if you are not aware, so it is about time. Later we will share with you what is the trend now, trend for youth to be able to survive the 21st century skill. What is needed for you to equip yourself to be more prepared for the future. So the 3 underneath the box is whatever we are trying to build now is to build greater awareness of ASEAN. So whatever we do, we go back to ASEAN again. So we wanted to also instill one identity, which is ASEAN identity, and provide platform for youth to grow the future ready skill. So many people ask me, what is ASEAN identity? We have many, many debates, even with the European unions and all that. We have sharing, and we speak with each other, we debate about, we discuss more likely what is the difference, what is the difference between ASEAN identity and European identity, So of course, many people will think that we are all the same. No, actually, we are diversified. but we are united with one same things, which is we believe that, in one element, diplomacy, and united, then we are stronger. So that's why many people ask me, can you point out what is the identity? The identity is in you. You carry the identity yourself. So everybody blend together in the melting pot, and then we are united. So what is ASEAN? Why does it matter? What's so great about ASEAN, people will ask? Of course, we are very great nations. We are great regions. If we are the countries, look at the point number 2. We are the 7th largest economy in the world. And if you say that we are the labor force, we are the 3rd largest labor force behind China and India. And how big is the population? 650 over million people. And out of this, you're looking at about almost close to 50%, 30 over percent is already youth population. So you are looking at youth population is very high, and youth population is the young energy. When the country or region has very high youth population, means they are very vibrant. Even the market economy would target at youth, because you guys spend a lot of money. You will be the future consumer for them. So these are things that you have to understand when it comes to economy and social connections. So ASEAN identity, we share actually one common identity that binds us together. So it's a community thing. So we wanted everyone to imagine there's one uniform ASEAN. So actually the logo on the left is actually the winners from, I think from Philippines, who won the design of this logo for ASEAN identity design. This year, it was awarded this, I think January when I've come to the office. I just report to duty on January this year, but I only managed to stay in Jakarta for 3 months before the COVID hits. So I came back for work, supposed to have a youth event in Malaysia. I supposed to be one of the speakers, but I ended up stuck in Malaysia. But I think that hopefully by next year, everything would turn back as normal as possible, and we all can go back to our different life, but our more freedom, more flexible life, okay? So ASEAN identity key traits. What is the key traits? Always remember, we are united in diversity. Yeah? So we are not that everybody is the same. I mean, Indonesians and Malaysians, even though we speak same Bahasa Melayu, but it's a different types of Bahasa Melayu. So there's always some kind of like a differences in all our culture, even though we came from same roots, there will be differences, but we are united. So we also wanted to look into inclusivity, respect, and non-interference. And this is a SDG from the last survey, impact, because every year we have impact meetings and all that. I think Myron's also mentioned that he met me in one of the meetings. So we have like thousands over meeting in ASEAN, organized under ASEAN Secretariat. That haven't counted ASEAN Foundation yet. So 1,000 over meetings with 3 pillars of communities. So the research and impact has been done, and the 2 most difficult goals, which is on the right side, is reduce inequalities and also peace and justice and strong institutions. These 2 SDGs has not really been met yet, but it is a little bit tough. And then also ASEAN Foundation is looking pretty much into 4 also, if you're looking at it. Number 4, which is quality education. And we also look at sustainable and on the community side. And now we are also looking at poverty, no hunger, because during this COVID-19 time, we managed to work with some international partners, United Ways, and also 3M and some of the big corporate company who actually funded us to do relief of COVID-19 victims who has no food and who is going through difficulties in their life. So we already launched in 3 countries, which is Indonesia, which is Malaysia, Thailand, and Myanmar, to give them goods and also sanitizing materials. So we during this pandemic time, ASEAN Foundation has more or less become more agile and flexible, because we used to focus a lot on youth, but now we are open up more and more to include more people and to have inclusivity approach, which is to take care of the marginalized group, including women. And also some of our programs actually have benefited women, like our SNT program and also our Future Ready Skills with the Microsoft partnership. We train almost 49% of female data skills and also internet skills, computer science skill. So ASEAN key challenges and the way forward. So we actually need to be more flexible, as I mentioned. And then we also have to address emerging trends and issues, because whatever works before pandemic has changed. I think if you are aware, I think most of you should be aware by now that things are no longer back to before the COVID-19. So COVID-19 is very destructive in a good and in a bad way. So it depends on how we want to look at things. Some people, some company and business really grow during this time, but some business are really obsolete, and they have to survive and agile and change. For instance, the tourism industry, is doing very badly, and a huge challenge for them to sustain. So you're looking at these, all these button, unsustainable production and consumption is one of the issues. The shift in the geostrategic balance and demographic shift, climate change also, and the emergence of disruptive technology and growing inequality. Because from the impact survey on what ASEAN Secretariat has done on the SDG impact, the marginalized group, the one that in the rural and all that, will be more suppressed. The gap will be bigger and bigger. So the urban one will be, moving ahead faster than the rural area, So the gap is big. So what we need to do? We need to bridge the gap. We need to, make it smaller gap, not so wide. Because before that it was already divided, but now it's bigger division. So this is a big challenge to actually put in a lot of plans. So most of our programs, even with the ASEAN programs and with the ASEAN Foundation programs, slowly gearing towards that. So now we are already going into ASEAN 2025, no longer ASEAN 2020 only. So we're forging ahead together. These are the 6 things that we are looking at, is to create realizing a peaceful, stable, and resilient community. So that's why social enterprises and social development is very important right now. So programs like leadership programs, later I share with you, we have some programs like that. It's very important because we can train youth. We give them the platform to enhance their skills, give them the knowledge, provide them with the skills so that they can go back and contribute to their community. So we also enhance capacity to respond effectively to challenges. Challenges not only pandemic COVID right now, because in future we will foresee there will be many, many challenges, not only on sickness, on viruses and all that, but there will be more things like environmental issues, bencana alam, we call it in bahasa, natural disaster, there are many things going to happen. So we have to be prepared. The medical health sector have to be prepared, People has to be more educated, more alert on their surrounding, love their environment better, take care of their environment so that things doesn't escalate to explosion, to bad impact. So that's why this pandemic is actually teaching us all these things right now. So actively engage within the global community also needed because we are no longer stand alone. Previously, when I remember past in January time, everybody was just thinking, oh, it's only China going to get it, the pandemic, I'm not going to get it. Now I'm going to be safe. I'm here, But look at us now. We are all in the same boat, because of the globalizations, movement, everybody can go anywhere. Virus also can travel with human to everywhere. So, and then also environmental issues, everything is happening in the global scale. It's no longer like your country has issues like the environment, even now with the disposable issues on the mask, these are not being studied because everybody has no such resources to do this impact study right now. Because either you wear the mask or you don't wear the mask, okay? You don't wear the mask, you're going to have more risk. So everybody is just putting aside these issues, but there are issues that needs to be looked into later. So envisioning vibrant, sustainable, highly integrated economies, ASEAN needs to come together, united, to create a very strong economy region. So we have to have like a trade collaborations, projects that actually benefit all the 10 member states. So enhancing ASEAN connectivity, of course, infrastructures and all that, digital divide before there has been an issue, but never been so clearly stand in front of us. And we see the problem now very clearly. Before that, we are just like ignoring it, like it is there, but it's not affecting us. But now it is really affecting us, because without the good connectivity, the world cannot be connected well. Okay, so it's just like our having now good platform for us to have this webinars. Without this structure, we cannot do any good sharing. So strengthening efforts in narrowing the development gap, as I mentioned, the gap is big, so we have to do inclusiveness approach right now. And these are the 3 pillars that, if you are not aware, sits under the ASEAN. ASEAN Secretary is holding these portfolios. So there are ASEAN Political Security Community Blueprints already been done, ASEAN Economic Community Blueprint 2025, and ASEAN Socio-Cultural Community Blueprint. I think I will not dwell very much on this, because each of the pillars have their own activities and they look after different kinds of section. But now we are also looking at cross sections already, cross pillars. It doesn't stand alone. It will affect each other. But for instance, I'll just point, you need to have a peaceful region, political security to enable economy to, to grow. So same thing, if the economy is not growing, the socio-cultural community also will not be doing well, because there will be no money, no funds going around to improve people's life, So it's interconnected. So just the interconnections and cross pillars community approach will be there. And ASEAN Foundations programs, I wanted to just go through with you very quick. These are some of it only, 6 of it. Actually, we have about 10 now running concurrently. And most of our programs are youth-based, of course, but also because of pandemic, we have new programs like what I mentioned, ASEAN Care, which is not here, is to do relief and to help poor people in ASEAN country to survive during this pandemic time. So Connect ASEAN is actually funded by Korean government on the culture and art side. So Future Ready ASEAN is by Microsoft, our partners on IR 4.0 skills, future ready skills, digital skills. Empowering Youth is our partnership with Maybank Foundation. And this is the one that I mentioned, social development. Social development projects, which we give, we train all the youth in ASEAN country, 10 member states, to do community service, to have a project developed to benefit their own community. So we also have ASEAN Science and Technology Fellowship, which is, we churn out almost close to 70 scientists, young scientists, who actually become consultant and policy advisory of their local government, which is the Ministry of Science and Technology. So ASEAN Data Science Explorer is a collaboration with SAP, where you do data analytics skills and all that. So we are going for the final this Wednesday, next week. Next week, final will be there, the pitching of 10 projects from 10 national winners. So we have ASEAN Foundation Model ASEAN meeting. If some of you are not sure about this program, I highly recommend you if you want to have leadership skills. So we have developed very good workbooks and for you to learn about ASEAN Way. ASEAN Way is actually very diplomatic. We are consultations way. We don't force our views to others. We accept and we compromise and we consult each other. So this is the ASEAN Way. So these are some of our programs during these few months from March. Then we move our programs into online already, 80% of it. Only programs like Empowering Youth, we are waiting for a better time because we need to be with the community. So these are some of our webinars. So Youth Challenge in 21st century. What is the challenge? Unemployment rates. Okay, future ready skill. Are you ready for that? Are you learning enough? Or are you just not learning enough and trying to wait for COVID? And please don't do that, okay? Because some people actually just feel that, oh, I can't do anything now. I have to wait, for after pandemic only I will do it. Don't do that, because nobody knows when the pandemic is going to be over. So start rolling, any programs that you would like to learn, picked up new skills. This is the right time, because after this, you have no time to do that, okay? So poverty, of course, because more and more people lost jobs, commitment, they cannot commit to, mortgage and all that. So they will have no food and poverty, they will be happen, Some economy are no more functioning. So lack of resources also, and then also discriminations. I think discrimination has happened all the time, but it has not been so clearly defined before, it was like embedded, but now you can see clearly, because people have more time now to repent and to look at themselves and to review, and ask the question, what have I done all this while? So we have all the time we have at home now, to do all this review. Yeah? So we hope that after this, our life will be better and we improve ourselves. So how do we cope with COVID-19? My advice for young people is to become an autodidact, self-learn, be more passionate about learning new things, become motivated learner. Because some people, you need to kick them, go, go to the class, like your parents going to say, go, why aren't you learning, that have passed already, I hope. I hope we are not in that category, of youth that has to be kicked one step and move one step. So I hope you can become an autodidact. So engage in the virtual world and stay connected with each other, because as what our MC was saying, hope that everybody is healthy mentally and physically. Yeah. So I was laughing at one point. I hope nobody is insane here, because the pandemic lock people can make people really insane. I can vouch to that. So we have to occupy our time. Because we humans are social animals. We are social beings. So we cannot be like locked in the cage. So therefore, I think that connection with humans, we need people. We need warmth. We need warmness. We need love. So I hope that we can spread your love to friends, family, get connected, make new friends also, why not? So be open to others' perspective and share your knowledge with others also. Don't be stingy with your knowledge, because knowledge will not grow if you keep it to yourself. And find and share new knowledge, and then be flexible and adaptable. Flexible is very, very key words. You have to be able to bend, to flex. That's why there is say that big companies, normally you see that they collapse quite fast, because it's huge, it's very heavy. They cannot move. That's why the enterprises, the small startups and, micro startups and all that, they move very fast. They can adapt. So the economy actually is pretty much adaptability level is for the small players sometimes, because the OPEX and the expenditures are low for them to, digitalize. So learn new technology, discover other ways of communications and collaborations. So these are the top most in-demand skill in 2020. So in the age of robotics, AI and all that, soft skill will reign supreme. Because a lot of people, I think you have heard of Jack Ma mentioning also, the next future, what is the biggest challenge? It's the soft skill, human skill. Because S&T, science and technology, STEM and all that, you can learn, you can master it, and there's a formula for it, but human skill, communications, EQs, and then cultural EQs, that is very hard to come by. There is, you have to know how to really make yourself able to adapt, and make friends and accept other people's cultural differences. So you can see that creativity, persuasions. If you want to do salesperson, you need to persuade people. If you want to do negotiations, you want to find finding, even you want to do social development, you want to look for funders, you have to know how to persuade people. So it's a soft skill side. And then collaboration, nobody can work alone. That's why we work with CSO in all the countries when we have our projects right now, because we can't travel anymore, limited, and safety also. Even if we are allowed to travel, we also think about our safety right now. So the only way, the best way to actually do programs is to partner, to collaborate. So we have collaborated. Now we have about seven CSO we are working with in Myanmar, Thailand, and Malaysia for the disbursements, distributions of goods to the poor people. So adaptability and emotional intelligence, as I mentioned. So of course, the hard skills, you can look at it. And certain countries is advancing in blockchain, certain are not. In China, it's very advanced, you know. And then video productions at the last one you mentioned, but these are not in the hierarchy. Yeah? These are just the top 10 skill, but it's not follow the hierarchy. So for us, for me, is video production skill is very important, because anywhere you go to internet right now, who did the editing, who did the graphic design at the back? Creative people. Who will present your visual, like this user interface now? Who will present it for you? It's the creative people. Okay, so I think that I have been reminded my time. So sorry, I just saw the box. And this is the last slide. So I am passing back to Amira. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yang. Such a fruitful sorry. Yeah, Dr. Yang, thank you so much for presentation. It was now. I would like to invite all of the, do let us know. It's like writing it on your on the chat box, please. So I'd like to invite all of the participants. Dr. Yang, I am, while waiting for the questions to arrive in the chat box, I would like to ask you, so you say that you just live here in Jakarta for 3 months and then you came back. So you are stuck in Malaysia now, or?
Not really stuck, actually, because I have a diplomatic passport. So I can go back, actually. It's just that looking at the safety wise, I try to minimize my movement here.
Indeed. Yeah. Okay, so I would like to again invite all of the participants, if you have any questions, because the only time for your question and answer sessions with Dr. Yang is only now, before we proceed to the next speaker. Okay, wait a moment. Is there any questions?
If there's no question, means everybody understand it very good.
Because your presentation is so easy to understand, you know.
Straightforward, hopefully.
But yeah, but perhaps let me have like a triggering questions for you then, Dr. Yang. Yeah. You mentioned that the ASEAN 2025 forging ahead together is one of the blueprint that is like very important for the ASEAN's framework to you know, to correspond to the SDGs itself. Now we see that amid this pandemic, is there any different approach that the ASEAN Foundation are actually, you know, trying to assist the ASEAN Secretariat and other bodies in order to achieve that target of ASEAN 2025?
Okay, good question, very good questions, Amira. The differences different approach is collaborative efforts. Before that, it was like everybody is like standalone, silos, and then doing your own things, your own organization, do your own thing. Even ASEAN Foundation also, sometimes we are also corporate, you know. So we take the projects and then we do it, you know. But now, there are you know, more and more collaboration partnerships has already been put in place. And also there's one thing that I noticed is during the discussions and the blueprint is to bring in more participants from corporate world, because this was actually highlighted in the social community that we always do strategy on our own, within the government and stakeholders and all, but we didn't involve the corporate world to come and discuss about plan with us. So this time they actually invited companies, like SAP, Microsoft and all, to actually come on board the meetings and also give ideas, on how to improve, because corporate world, they have their own requirements, their own sets of requirements and what they would like to see. But of course, at this moment, all these blueprints are pretty much looking into how to revive, how to build back the economy and social peace in balance in ASEAN country. So I hope that answer you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for the answers. It's actually what we are actually looking for, and try to, let our participants know what's the differences. And now we have two different questions in the chat box. Perhaps I would like to call Farel Fauzan Arfian. Are you willing to open the mic and talk directly to Dr. Yang?
Okay. Can you guys hear my voice clearly?
Yes, please.
Okay. I would like to ask to Dr. Yang how we collaborate technology, especially that been developed by all people in the world with every point in SDGs, especially in solving a problem in ASEAN itself. Thank you.
Can I just repeat the question, Farel? Do you mean that how the technology been implemented in ASEAN for the betterment?
Yes.
Okay. Because technology is actually the key now that everybody's focused because IR 4.0 and all that. That is on the economy side. But for the social side, we are looking into digital divide, the infrastructure and also the gadgets. Because there are big gaps between the rural area and the urban area, because the infrastructure itself, broadband itself, for instance, many rural area are not accessible to broadband service sometimes, the good broadband service we're talking about. And also in terms of pricing, sometimes the pricing is very expensive. So in terms of affordability is also one issue. So technology accessibility is definitely issues that infrastructure also issues that has to be looked into, especially. But I always think that my suggestion is for the each of the countries, the 10 member countries, the Ministry of Telecommunications and Energy, they need to come together and have a consensus on how to actually, launch these backbones and infrastructures, upgrading to each of the countries, because different country has different kind of level of infrastructure standard, So even the players also, the corporate also who is investing in it is different. You can't cross really, Like even we have mobile access also, we go to each country, we cannot have one same line and everywhere you can go, you can access, you still need to pay, everywhere you go. So this kind of able to seam together, it's one big challenge. And secondly is to reach the rural area but one good thing is there is a report I saw 2 days ago. There are many digital internet new users. They are increased, within this March until now, this year, it's 40 million users now in the internet world increase. And out of this 40 million, 30% are from rural area. So you can imagine the increase is really, a drastic rise, So for us, it's like there are possibility, but it's just that maybe government needs to look into subsidize, incentive, and then also approving certain projects, that can benefit the social local community in the rural area. So this can bridge the gap because infrastructure is the way for them to access to everything now. Education is number one users education is number one user is all for the new survey that I mentioned just now, the report on the data survey mentioned that education usage and also grocery buying orders, e-commerce and all that. So for education needs for rural area, kids needs to go to school. So they can't go to school. But I think previously also they cannot access to school anyway. But now, looking at the situation, education is needed, because if you want to upskill, you want to create jobs, you want your community to grow, you need to give them good education. So this cannot be compromised for me. So infrastructures is a carrier, is the mode of transport for all this information technology world, this time of transformation, digital transformation time. So it needs to have some blueprint to actually curb these issues. I hope that answers you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yang. So we noticed that your question and answer sessions is only for 5 minutes. So perhaps I would like to let Ms. Priscilla Milena to deliver your questions. Please keep it short, and perhaps Dr. Yang, you could actually just right to the point on that question. Okay. Please, Priscilla.
All right, thank you for the opportunity, Ms. Moderator. But the question is, I would like to ask questions to Dr. Yang that what ASEAN Foundation's role to give more effort in SDGs, especially in Goal 10 and also the Goal 16, saying that these two goals are the most difficult goals, as you mentioned before, in ASEAN. And also, may I know why these two goals are really difficult? Because it's triggering me, as I knew that in ASEAN, among the ASEAN member states, there are political ideology differences between the ASEAN member states. So I think that's the questions. Thank you.
Thank you. I just think that in terms of politics and security, it has always been the tougher one. I think Amira also we can tell you legally, anything touch on legal things and borders and all that, it's always more complex. I would just say, but it's not that it cannot be solved. It can, but it just takes time. And there are agencies, bodies that are under the ASEAN, which is IPR. They are supposed to do these peace program. Actually, we are also speaking to some of the partners to actually implement some programs like programs that everybody can group together and understand each other's differences, harmony. So from ASEAN Foundation side, what we can do is to create the unity feelings. When you have unity and when you have love and understanding, you can create peace. So for us, it's like we don't use the harsh way, because ASEAN way is not using the legal way that I'm going to sue you. You're going to get this. If you don't do this, we can't do that. The ASEAN way is always by diplomatic way. Consultation way. So that's why it takes a little bit longer sometimes. But I hope I answer you.
Okay, thank you so much. So Dr. Yang, sadly, we have reached the end of the question and answer sessions for you. Although there are some questions still in the chat box, perhaps while waiting, you may want to, check them out and try to reply them through the chat box. Okay, now, thank you so much again for Dr. Yang. And now we are going to proceed to the second expert that we have today, Ms. Ainul Jula. She is the SDGs specialist at the UNDP Indonesia, of which she is responsible to lead the SDGs localizations programs and SDGs advocacy initiative. She has been working in development and strategic consulting fields at various organizations, a UN agency, a global youth organizations, an international development cooperation agency, and consulting firms. She attributes her sensitivity to development challenges to her experience in surfing in conflicted borderland areas and a remote island in eastern Indonesia. Ms. Jula is a graduate from Universitas Indonesia and University of Glasgow, United Kingdom. For your informations, she is actually enjoys a lot in perhaps like spending her time alone, enjoying island hopping and mountain climbing. And she has spent living in 3 different continents. So without further ado, I would like to invite Ms. Jula, please.
Thank you, Amira. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Joining you from Jakarta, the hot, warm, and bright Jakarta. As you can see there, this is Southeast Asia, ASEAN mango trees. So I hope you're enjoying your stay-at-home time with loved ones and keep positive spirit during this pandemic time. So first of all, I would like to say thank you to University of Pajajaran and the committee of AYIC 2020 for your invitation to UNDP. And also I'm sending my best wishes to Dr. Yang Miang, fellow speaker, executive director of Asia Foundation, and Emmanuel Myres, founder and executive director of ASEAN Youth Advocates Network, and our wonderful moderator, Amira Bilkis. Hello, Amira. Thank you for introducing me. It's also exciting to see passionate audience on my screen here. I can see 116 audience watching us today from Bandung, the city of diplomacy and beyond. So first, I also would like to excuse myself because it's by the road. You might heard some noise. I hope it's okay with you. And I'm Ainul Jula, simply called Ainul. As introduced by the moderator, I am now with UNDP Indonesia, and in a nutshell, making SDGs happen. So to a little bit reintroduce you to SDGs, can I please have the committee play a short video, the call to action. So committee, the screen is yours now.
Apa sih yang kita inginkan untuk masa depan?
Keluarga yang sehat,
pendidikan yang merata,
akses untuk air bersih, ekonomi yang kuat,
atau lingkungan yang terawat.
Semua itu adalah
cita-cita kita bersama. Melalui Sustainable Development Goals atau SDGs,
negara-negara termasuk Indonesia
telah turut serta dalam mewujudkan tujuan bersama tersebut.
Indonesia sendiri sudah membuat banyak pencapaian seperti
tingkat kemiskinan yang terus berkurang,
akses pelayanan publik yang semakin baik,
pendidikan dasar yang semakin tercukupi,
dan tingkat literasi nasional yang tinggi.
Akan tetapi, kita tidak boleh lengah.
Sebab masih banyak tantangan yang menghadang di depan mata.
Ketimpangan sosial
yang masih sangat terasa.
Kebakaran dan kerusakan hutan.
Kekerasan
terhadap perempuan.
Sampah plastik yang merusak lingkungan.
Pengangguran anak muda
yang masih tinggi.
Pekerjaan-pekerjaan yang belum usai ini harus segera kita tuntaskan.
Semua tantangan ini bisa kita taklukkan
hanya bila kita bergerak bersama.
Sebab saya yakin,
tanpa kamu, kebakaran hutan akan terus ada.
Tanpa kamu,
perempuan akan terus berhadapan dengan kekerasan.
Tanpa kamu,
anak-anak Indonesia masih terus belajar tanpa lampu.
Tanpa kamu,
anak-anak Indonesia masih juga tidak mendapatkan gizi yang cukup.
Dan tanpa kamu,
potensi anak muda menjadi pengangguran akan terus ada.
Tanpa kamu,
tujuan-tujuan kita itu hanyalah mimpi belaka.
Jadi,
mari kita berjalan beriringan.
Mewujudkan cita-cita kita bersama.
Dan pastikan
tak ada satupun kawan kita yang tertinggal di belakang.
17 tujuan untuk mengubah Indonesia yang lebih baik. Mari kita bangun Indonesia bersama-sama.
Thank you, committee. I'll share my screen now. Okay, just a second. Oh, okay. Is the presentation there?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Amira. So let's start with the SDGs. Let me just quickly move this. So let's start with the Sustainable Development Goals. It's formally adopted on the first day of January in 2016 by member states of the United Nations. So SDGs is universal. If you recall, if you've read about it, before the SDG, there's Millennium Development Goals, the MDGs, which emphasized its implementation on developing countries. But SDGs is different. SDGs is for all. Hence, it's universal. It's for developing countries. It's for developed countries, third world countries, first world country. And although not legally binding, the countries are expected to lead and to take ownership and establish a national framework for achieving the SDGs. So now you might ask, so if countries are doing SDGs, implementing it in the region, and what does UNDP do? What is UNDP's role? So UNDP is currently present in about 170 countries and territories around the world. UNDP supports countries to achieve the SDGs, to end poverty, fighting inequalities, tackle climate change, and beyond. There are so many development challenges out there. And in doing so, UNDP makes sure to leave no one behind as the SDGs main principle, to leave no one behind. So next, on implementing the SDGs, it has to be relevant with today's challenges. And let me be very frank to you, achieving the SDGs now has become more challenging than ever. You guessed it right. The COVID-19. Now, due to the pandemic, 100 million people are being pushed back into extreme poverty. It's a setback for the world. And the inequality widens, basic access. And there's new generation of inequalities which emerge due to the pandemic, but also the revolution 4.0, the digital divide, the digital gap. For example, the kids living in remote areas with limited access to the internet, they are being left behind. They are getting out of school. They have no education now. And for the very first time in history, in 30 years, the human development is on course to decline, since the concept is introduced back in 1990. So now it seems impossible for an average person to solve this challenge, to make an impact, let alone a student, a youth. I questioned that when I was a student myself. But worry not, I have some tips and insights for you, how you can play a role in contributing to addressing these development challenges. So first, how can youth solve this problem? Make yourself relevant. Make yourself relevant to what the world needs today and the not so far future. So what it is? It's quite similar with Dr. Yang's sharing the top 10 skills of 2025. So if you can see here, it's color coded. The blue one is for the type of skill that relates to problem solving, and the green one to self-management, the purple one to technology, and the brown one on leadership and social influence. So this is by the World Economic Forum, the survey. The recommendation is that for young people and those who are entering the workforce, even those who are now in the workforce, to develop those following skills. And two top skills emerge, which is critical thinking and problem solving. So, so is the technology use. Millennials are the generation that grows up with technology. Now, I encourage you to make the most out of it. How? So, this pandemic, learn new skills. Walk out of your door after this pandemic equipped with what the world will need. So the pandemic has accelerated the trend of online learning, online reskilling. So go to Coursera, sign up yourself, and do some online learning. You cannot just stay at home. Me, I've been staying at home for 8 months now. It's been since March, and not a single day I step on UNDP office. No, it's been 8 months, and it's not easy. But just spending 8 months doing routines, find a new hobby, learn new skills. There are resources out there, free resources. And if you have a skill, I would highly encourage you, don't be afraid to start your own webinar, starting with your own circle. You have something to share. For example, if you are volunteering teaching kids, perhaps people around you, your friends want to know, how do you start? So there's something that you can share always. So learn new skills and share them. And second, take action. So on this, I have another video, a very interesting one from Emma Watson on SDGs. I hope this inspires you on what you can do in your community. So committee, the screen is yours now. Please play out the second video. Thank you. Whoops. Is it there? Thank you.
Hello, I'm Emma Watson. We have an urgent mission to complete by 2030, and I really need your help. We need to fight global inequality, end extreme poverty, and respect our planet. Watch this film to find out how you can use your creativity and power to help us achieve these goals. Thank you.
Hello? Hello? Are you there? I was just saying that we have to use our creative superpowers to achieve the United Nations global goals. How? Although the Earth is just a tiny speck in space, it seems enormous to us when we're on it. The global goals can seem huge too, but if you focus on fixing the things where you live, you can make a big difference. There are 3 ways you can help. You can invent, innovate, and campaign. So buckle up and let's take a lightning flight around the world to see what young people are doing already. First stop is Istanbul in Turkey, where we meet Elif. She's an inventor. Like many big cities, there's a lot of pollution in Istanbul. Most of it's caused by petroleum-based plastics. Elif wasn't happy about that and wondered what she could do. So she invented a new natural plastic made from banana skins. No, seriously. It's cheap, easy to recycle, and you can make it in your own kitchen. And if you like banana desserts, you can't really lose. Unless you eat too much. So, let's talk about toilets. This is Rohit. He lives in Bangalore in India. The population there is growing very quickly, and so is all the, well, waste. A regular toilet uses 6 litres of water each time it's flushed. This is too much where water's scarce. So Rohit invented a toilet that saved 50% of that water. He called it the vacuum flush. His invention won an international science prize, and now he's flushed with his own success. Thanks a lot. You can be an innovator, be creative, and think about how to improve the way we live. Take urban creators in North Philadelphia. This amazing group of teenagers reclaimed derelict land in a dangerous, run-down neighbourhood. They built a thriving farm where they grow fresh food and now supply hundreds of local homes and restaurants. Life Do Grow Farm has transformed the community and made it healthier and safer for everyone. Now, let's go to Nigeria, which has one of the fastest growing populations in the world. This is Team Charis, a group of brilliant girls who are solving a big problem. Team Charis realised that in parts of Nigeria, lots of people get sick because rubbish isn't cleaned up properly. So they created Discardius, a phone app to report waste and have it taken away safely by eco-friendly cars. See? Sometimes a healthier world is just one great idea away. You could be a campaigner. Malati and Isabel are sisters from Bali. They've been on a mission to stop plastic bags from harming their beautiful island home. Millions of plastic bags end up in the ocean. They pollute the water and harm marine life. Malati and Isabel decided enough was enough. They organised petitions and beach clean-ups, and now their efforts have convinced their governor to ban plastic bags in Bali by 2018. Finally, let's go to Jordan. This is Mazoom from Syria. She used to live in a refugee camp. Many girls in the camp had to marry so young that they had to give up their education. Mazoom thought this was a big mistake, and she waged a campaign to convince parents to keep their daughters in school and not make them marry too young. All girls have a right to a great education. And just look at what one educated girl can achieve with enough determination. Young inventors, innovators and campaigners everywhere are changing the world for good. And so can you. You just need to care, get creative and collaborate. If we all do that, by 2030 we can really make the global goals a reality. I'm just saying.
Thank you for meeting. I'll share my screen now. Okay, so is it back, the presentation? Yeah?
Yes, Ms. Julia,
Okay.
please continue.
Thank you. So, remember the 3 C's. Care. Oh, sorry. Yeah, remember the 3 C's. To care about the problems in your community. Start with you. Start with your community. Get creative about it. And collaborate with like-minded students, like-minded youth. There's an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. So, 3 C's, care, creative, and collaborate. But if you like to take your time, worry not. This is to my fellow kaum rebahan. If you want to do something just quick and easy, I have some tips. So this is quick things that you can do. Don't print out. Fight the urge to print anything. Spare the papers. We are losing trees. The climate change is real. And bring your own shopping bag. Bring your own shopping bag, and not only shopping bag. Let me tell you a little bit of a story. So many coffee shops are now campaigning on less plastic waste in Indonesia. They sell tumblers and they give you discount if you buy from your tumblers. But just last week, I took it further. I wanted to buy a croissant from one of the coffee shop near my house. So I brought my lunchbox. the barista looked quite surprised in a nice way, but because she probably hasn't seen anyone bringing their lunchbox. Hey, please, can I have my croissant and you put it here? Because I noticed if I want to buy 2 croissants, for each of the croissant, they will give me paper bag. It's paper, but still. It's paper bag and it's waste. And to wrap the 2 paper bag, they put it in another paper bag. So I went back home with 3 paper bags that soon will have no use. So simply by bringing my lunchbox, it might not be much if it's me alone, but I have you and all youths out there. Just multiply it. Small action counts. Because those waste will end up torturing and killing the Earth species. And turn off the lights. That's very easy. If you don't need it at a bright day like this, why would you turn on the lights. And also, if you want more of this, I have a special link for you. Go to bit.ly/IamLazySDG. So I created this link for you. This will send you to UN campaign on taking action. The title is The Lazy Person's Guide to Saving the World. So I am lazy SDG. It's very simple, easy to remember, and you can do it. So I think that's all, my presentation. You don't have to be a minister, not now, probably, maybe in 10 years, maybe in 15 years, maybe in 5 years, who knows? So jump on the bandwagon now. We can make it happen. We can make SDGs happen. Thank you. Now the screen is yours. Kak Amira, thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Ainul. And that was very inspiring on how to, trying to be useful and still contributes to the SDGs, although we are a bit lazy in a way, because nowadays we have a lot of youth currently, and, there are a lot of things in which we are, allowed to contribute to the SDGs. And without further ado, I would like to invite all of the speakers the participants to write down their questions on the chat box, as we only have around 15 minutes for the questions and answer sessions for Ms. Ainul. And while waiting, perhaps other participants could also, click on the link that has been sent by one of the committee regarding to the bit.ly/IamLazySDGs while waiting. So perhaps while waiting, Ms. Ainul, how do you get that inspirations on trying to gather ways of contributes to the SDGs, although we are actually, kaum rebahan, as you mentioned before. So for your informations, participants, kaum rebahan means someone's referred to someone who is very lazy and usually just being a sleepy couch potatoes kind of person. Please, Ms. Ainul, perhaps you could enlighten me on that, or perhaps all of our our participants as well.
Yeah, as I have shared with you, being kaum rebahan or couch potato, I think that's quite similar. Just sitting there with your cell phone and sign up to Coursera, learn something. So usually, for example, I pick a topic for this month. So say for this month, I want to learn French. So I would go to my couch with my phone, just sitting there, scrolling, browsing, how can I get better at French? And mind you, I am no close to being fluent in French, but at least I can say croissant. So that's one. And second, if you go to the link there, I am lazy SDGs, you can see some of the things that you can do at home that contributes to saving the planet. And this is a very, very difficult time. Some of us might be might be more comfortable than others, and we can never underestimate others' struggle. So
Indeed.
what you can also do is to call your friend, call them every day, call one friend, just say hello, ask if they're doing well, ask if they need some help. Sometimes just talking, hearing the voice to the other end is really helpful. So you don't have to be, say, a minister of health now, but you can be nice, kind, listening to your friend. So I see a question there.
Yes. So perhaps I could invite Zulfikar first to, ask the questions directly to you, Ms. Ainul. Please. Zulfikar? Yes.
My voice clear?
Could you turn up the voice a bit?
I'm sorry, is my voice clear?
Yes,
Yes,
now it's clear.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, is my voice clear? Once again.
Yes, please do proceed to the
Okay.
questions.
I have one question to Miss Aino. First of all, I would like to say thank you for the presentation. It's very insightful. I have one question. You mentioned before that to change the world, you don't have to be a minister. You just have to maintain a good behavior, such as use not using plastic bag or less waste. Use good things and etc. My question is how hard it is to implement the good behavior, for example, the less plastic bag use in a local, maybe in a city scale or in regional scale or in a country scale. Because, for example, in my city, in Bogor, we do not use plastic bag in mini market or supermarket. That is not allowed. And I think so far it is going well. People mostly bring their own bag, their not plastic bag, to the mini market, so they could use that, and it could make less waste of plastic bag. Why not this implemented in maybe in the whole Jawa Barat or in whole Indonesia or maybe in the whole ASEAN? What's the problem for that? Thank you.
Thank you, Zulfikar. What is ECC, if I may ask? ECC underscore.
ECC is one division in the LIC. I'm one of the committee in LIC.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm from Universitas Pajajaran, by the way.
Hello, Zulfikar from
Hi.
Unpad. Thank you. That's a very interesting question. Behavioral change is one of the toughest field. In my school, back in graduate school, there's a PhD in behavioral change, and to those working in development, to change, for example, villager using toilet, it might take 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. It's very, very hard, you know. On the plastic bags, for example, what Bogor has done is tremendously cool, and it comes from the policymaker, but not every policymaker, for one or other reason, for political reason, for this and that reason, for resources reason, not all of them has implemented. Now Jakarta has just started that, but many areas in Indonesia haven't. So political reason aside, resources reason aside, it can also come from awareness or education. You know, they might have different priorities. So say the head of a province might have to prioritize between tackling stunting or plastic issues or HIV or now COVID. They have very, very limited funding, very, very limited resources, and they have to prioritize. So it might not be now, but it's on progress. Unfortunately, some region, the progress is slower than others. So what I would encourage youth to do is to campaign like Melati and Isabel in Bali. It's going viral, what they did in Bali, and you can start campaigning. It doesn't have to be a big campaign. Just, for example, you go to your favorite coffee shop, bringing a cup. I have my cup here in my office. If I want to buy coffee, that was like last year, I just bring this and, hey, can I have a piccolo latte here? So that's one less paper bag or plastic bag. It's not always easy, but raising awareness, you can do it. Helping people surrounding you to understand. It might be that they don't understand why it's important to use less plastic. So I hope that answers your question and also can give you some insights of what you can do in your community. Thank you, Zulfikar. Back to Amira.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ms. Aino. Yeah. So the highlight of what you are mentioning about is that perhaps the regulation is there, but still the grassroots level implementations and awareness is actually the key on, on adhering such regulations. I mean, we see the case that in Jakarta, there is already the regulations, but still the awareness of the people still quite low. Okay, so we proceed to the last questions before we close this sessions. Perhaps Arbar, you want to deliver your questions directly?
Yes, thank you very much. Good afternoon, Ms. Ainul. Thank you very much, moderator, for the opportunity. My question is actually quite simple. I mean, earlier you said that if one wants to go far, one needs to go together. And I'm really curious about, is there any social movements here, perhaps in Jakarta or perhaps the city surrounding it, that you think we as the youth need to know in Indonesia? Maybe you can give them a shout out or something. Perhaps they have a social media platform, something like that, that perhaps we can follow, and perhaps we can try to maybe contribute with them someday. Because to start a movement that's already been that's actually already there is actually quite repetitive, and it's not going to be as effective. So maybe I'm not exactly lazy. I'm quite energetic. So. But only for the fun stuff, to be honest. But yeah, I would like to contribute. But do you know any platform in which I can, contribute my energy, my abundant amount of energy after COVID-19, of course? Yeah, do you know any platforms?
Yeah, thank you, Ardi, the MC today. Hi, Ardi. Thank you for being the MC today. It's been a good job, cool job so far. So you want to channel your abundance of energy? Why not start your own movement? As UNDP, we are mandated to support the government of Indonesia. So I can share with you what we have done in supporting government of Indonesia on implementing the SDGs, especially in collaboration. So the government of Indonesia has launch a presidential decree on SDGs. You can Google it up. It's presidential decree number 859 year 2017 on SDGs implementation. There, it is mandated that at national level and at provincial level, there's this team that is called the SDGs Coordination Team, which has 4 pillars. The 4 pillars are government and parliament, private sector and philanthropy, CSO and media, and academics and experts. Now youth is included in the CSO and media sector because there are many NGOs working on youth specific issues, this and that. But yes, you can try find more information about the coordination team. Currently, one of our program called the SDGs Localization in Rio Province supports Rio government in establishing and maintaining that coordination team. And I know that they have regular meeting, not only, like discussing FGD, but listing down programs and activities of each of the institution, the organization. Even I know that there's some youth organization, one focusing on climate change, the other focusing on education and social issues in Riau, and they are in that coordination team. So that is the formal way. The non-informal way, there are many events out there. Actually, just last month, to mark the Hari Sumpah Pemuda, the National Youth Pledge Day, we are UNDP together with Ministry of National Development Planning, Bappenas, Kemlu, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and Tanoto Foundation. We held a youth event called the SDGs Debate, and the winner is from UNPAD. So UNPAD, anak UNPAD, you have to know about this, yeah? Go to UNDP Twitter. Go to UNDP Twitter and check it out. You should know about this. And UNDP, every month we have this event called the SDGs Talks, targeted to young people, young audience. So follow UNDP Indonesia account on Twitter and get some information. Last month was October, the theme COVID and natural disaster and how youth can play a role in it, because that is Indonesian Youth Month last month. So I hope that helps and can give you some insights. If you need more information, I encourage you to find it in Bappenas or UNDP or Asia Foundation and other organizations. Basically, everyone is gearing up for the SDGs and working towards that. Thank you. Back to you, Amira.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ms. Ainul.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Seems like the committee say that because we have the other two questions, perhaps you could actually just like right away answers the two questions. Keep it simple. So the first questions. So the first one is from Arfia Salma. She asks is there any regression progress in SDGs target in ASEAN, in particular during COVID-19 based on the UNDP perspective? And the second one is how to stay consistent in encouraging the people around you when they aren't willing to go green as they think it's a bit more hassle. So perhaps you could actually just respond on that, please.
Yeah, thank you, Amira, and thank you, Arfia Salma, for the question. I did say I tried to learn French, but I don't know how to pronounce this. I know bonsoir, mademoiselle. I don't know.
Bonsoir.
Okay, so regression in progress. As I mentioned, according to UNDP early report a few months ago, for the first time in 30 years, the human development is on the course to decline. So it's going down. So it's the SDGs. We were on track to achieve the SDGs, but then the COVID hits and Indonesia and ASEAN too is slowing down. I wouldn't say it's decreasing or declining, but it's kind of slowing down because most resources, if not all, are now are allocated to respond to COVID-19. So yes, it happens. UNDP now is working with Government of Indonesia, with other agencies. We work with Bappenas, we work with Ministry of Village to do socio-economic in-depth analysis and to see how we can put SDGs back on track. So I hope that answers your question very briefly, Arfia Salma. And the next question, how to stay consistent in encouraging the people around you when you are willing? Personal experience. But I just sendiri being yourself. Why do you have to if people around you aren't willing to do so, it's good to encourage them, but it's not your job to make them change. As I mentioned, behavioral change is very, very difficult. But from my experience, why I started using this cup when I go to coffee shop in my office, because I see some other colleagues do that. So it spreads, it's contagious. Your action is contagious. It might not be people around you, but probably your outer ring, your friend of friends, who knows?
Perhaps strangers, Ms. Ainul.
Perhaps strangers, I know, perhaps strangers. Thank you, Amira. So I hope that answers very, very quickly. So keep being consistent, and who knows that your action is actually changing the world one step at a time. Take it easy. It's COVID.
Thank you so much, Ms. Ainul, for your presentations and the question and answer sessions. Actually, you may want to check the chat box because there are some questions that is left unanswered. So you may, while waiting, respond to that questions. So now we have listened to the international organization perspective such as the UNDP and the ASEAN Foundations. Now let's hear directly from the youth itself. So I have a friend of mine, Emmanuel Myris Ponon, is a 19-year-old youth leader who inspires youth to volunteer through his recent established body called Youth Advocates for the Philippines. So, and he was also the country representative officer for the ASEAN University Student Council Union, where I was part of the vice president previously. And he is also now still a student, a double degree student of Development Studies and Economics from the LaSalle University, the Philippines. To date, he is still volunteer on the Embassy of the United States of America, and he also has a lot of notable achievements, such as being a Philippine delegate for the United Nations ECOSOC Forum 2020. For your information, throughout 2019, 2020, he has spoken for over hundreds of talks. So, hello, Myris.
Wow. Hello, everyone. It's nice to meet all of you.
Nice to meet you too.
Thank you so much. Should I start now? Anyways, I'm such in a hard position, guys. Do you know why? I'm going to be speaking after Dr. Yang and from a representative of UNDP. And, I thought I would be the first one to speak, but I hope that my energy gets to come into you. I'm actually very happy because I'm very privileged enough. If you've been listening or if you've been very attentive to the weather so far, it's actually a bad weather here in the Philippines so far. Our classes were suspended. So, yeah. I'm very excited to give a youth perspective for all of you. I hope all of you are having a great day. Yes, I am 19. I mean, I think it's obvious. But yeah, I hope my energy sparks into this room, into this conversation. When my CV was shown, I was very, I don't typically send it, So I get conscious, So here's my screen. I'll be sharing my screen. And as you can see, I'll be talking about this ASEAN Youth for Sustainable Development Goals. And this is actually very important, So now I'll give it on a youth perspective. I'm going to be sharing my story later. I may look like someone that is full of energy, but, you'll get to know more about my story later on my humble beginnings to now. So, yes, I hope all of you are still awake. And yeah, my goal here is number one, to give you a youth perspective, our role to enhance and achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, how we can contribute into enhancing access and achieving the SDGs, and I'll be sharing a little bit of my story. All right. So, that's me. This is me. So, like what was said earlier, before I had the ASEAN Youth Advocates Network that was established this year, I founded this organization called Youth Advocates for the Philippines. So, it's been a year running now, and we have more than 10,000 volunteers. So, yeah, I'll tell more about that later. But that's me. If you want to know my email, that's a little bit about me. Yeah, I just wanted to show my face. No, I'm kidding. So now, before we start, you can share your story. I really communicate a lot through social media. So if you'd like to tag me and tag ASEAN Youth Advocates, you're free to do that. We're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. So yes, feel free to connect. And yeah, we'll start off with that. Maybe you want to check your phones. Maybe you want to wash your face, eat some snacks, because 3 hours of a webinar is long, and despite how good the presenter is, because of our attention span and all, but we'll try our best, and I hope you get to learn a lot from today. So yes, we have a lot. So before I start, let's start first with having this. Let's have hard truths, things you should know if you haven't yet. Do you believe that the youth today are soft, or very emotional driven, or loves drama so much? We tend to have a lot of misconceptions today. But now I'll be giving some open-ended hard truths. All right. So the hard truth number one that we have is we are in an unfortunate time. Who here believes that we are in a fortunate time? I believe no one would say yes. We are in COVID-19 situation. Indonesia and the Philippines are like the top notchers of getting the most COVID cases. So, I've been hearing a lot of ASEAN events that have been continuing, but they don't invite these two countries. It's the Philippines and Indonesia. So I think all of us can agree that we are in an unfortunate time, and we cannot wait until we get a vaccine, that we go now to a better normal. So that's hard truth number one. Hard truth number two is a lot of us are giving up. I may not be able to speak on behalf of your government, but I believe a lot of you already are thinking about these things. You may be thinking of immigration. You may be thinking of, wanting a new life after this. Our mental health, a lot of people are experiencing mental health issues. This is a real thing. And, these hard truths sometimes may not be told to you, but it's not something that is told because for you to be hurt. These are things that you need to know in order for you to create and innovate and have a solution for this. Hard truth number three is, yes, problems are multiplying. Before we go on to the Sustainable Development Goals, I wanted to give these hard truths. And for number three, problems are multiplying. Is that correct? Yes. Almost the 9 ASEAN member states' economy is going down because of the pandemic. One, of course, is very fortunate enough and very prepared in the name of Vietnam. But, as an economics student, I don't want to bore you with all these statistics. But yes, I believe that is something that is a good, summary for the time that we are in. Because naturally, man, when possessed, naturally us as man are not used to staying at home. We're used to being with people because life is all about people, correct? So now that we go to hard truth number 4, this is going to be very controversial. I'll explain a lot of this later. Developing countries should have focused in the MDGs. This is going to be something that may let you think a lot. And we may have a 9-hour debate. But this is actually something that we'll be talking about later. Why developing countries should have focused in the MDGs. I'm not saying that the SDG should have been focused, but there's a reason why I stated this. Not a lot of people would say this. But now, let's go on to an easy truth. Let's put it on a light-based setting. One thing that you should know is that you have the power to change it. That's one easy truth. And if you were to switch what was easy and what was hard, this is something that a lot of people would tend to see as very hard. Because you may think that you have the power. Yes, that is part of our constitutional human rights as a person, a declaration by the United Nations. But do you really feel that you have that power? I'm not sure if that is apparent in your case, but in the Philippines, a lot of people get red tagged. I believe there are some red tagging cases that is happening. Do you believe that you truly have the freedom of speech? How about media literacy? How good are you in MIL? And you may be asking me right now, why am I telling all these things? Because it's all part of sustainable development. Sustainable development is a very, very broad concept, but it leads to one goal. It's basically for us to have a better world. How can we achieve that better world is the question. Because, we may have a lot of these goals and set. We may have a lot of organizations, embassies, companies all knowing about what the SDGs are. But are we truly sustaining until today? Are we already creating the change that we want to see? Because there is a debate also that we are decelerating rather than accelerating. And if you think that I'm bashing the Sustainable Development Goals, I'm not. This is a challenge for us, for you rather, to recognize the importance of the Sustainable Development Goals. Because I'm not saying it on a basis wherein I think that the Sustainable Development Goals is not effective. Because the only people that can enable the Sustainable Development Goals are us. And that begins with us, the youth. All right? Yes, youth. That starts with you and your individual efforts. I love what the two speakers, the two beautiful women have said earlier. Recycling, using tumbler, focusing on bamboo, preventing plastic, learning new languages, immersing yourself, maximizing your time to learn new things. All of those are great, But the thing is, what if I were to be asked on this question, which I boldly said in one UN event that I did while in New York, which a lot of people kept buzzing, why aren't we in the state that we should have been? And the answer to that is very simple. Because we chose to be selfish rather than selfless. Because if we were not selfish, then the World War would not have happened. Development before was because we wanted territory. Countries wanted territory. We wanted to be rich. But is that the way for us to be happy? You know, so the Sustainable Development Goals is a humanitarian effect. This is something that all of us should do because mankind is at stake, our lives are at stake, and our future generations are at stake. You know, I'm not sure if you're used to someone like me speaking like, you know, I'm like a gun that keeps on, you know, maybe you may be triggered, you may be someone that, you know, you may think that I'm the type of person that would be speaking softly. But, you know, these are truths that you really have to know. And I hope that this enables you to be a better version of yourself into the development of the Sustainable Development Goals. The missing element is because we tend to look for solutions without addressing the problem. We want everything instant, don't we? We want instant streaming, you know, before when there was no Netflix, we had to go to the movies. I mean, I'm not saying, you know, because of technical advancements, everything that we do is so easy nowadays. Oh, I want instant noodles. I want instant rice. I want instant food. I go to a 7-Eleven. Oh, I want an instant answer. I go to Google. I go to Siri. But in a world solution, in a world problem, do we have an immediate solution? Because if we'd had, we could have done it already. But here's the thing. A lot of youth today want to be change makers. And the problem with that is you don't know if they're really genuine with it or not. I believe you have met people like this. People who join organizations but do not do any impact, but just want to do it for their own resume. Which leads us back to the selfish over selfless comparison. If we tend to look for solutions without addressing the problem, then that means that our solutions aren't sustainable. A lot of people nowadays, you know, especially in my class, I love my classmates, but it's true, you know, maybe that's apparent to you. A lot of people say that history is boring. But if you're someone that wants to be in a developing field, if you're someone that wants to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, you can't do a solution immediately without addressing a problem. And you would, if for those who have been in design thinking sessions, for those who have been in, you know, competitions, you would know this. You have to know your why. You have to know the essential traits of your solutions. Here's are my tools. These are my 3 tools. CWC, consciousness, willingness, and consistent action. What is consciousness? Knowing what is happening in your state. Not now we're in an ASEAN level. So you don't just focus on whatever country you're residing, whatsoever country you're a citizen of. But you have to be conscious. You have to be conscious of what's happening to your country. You have to be conscious of its history. You have to be conscious of the heroes who fought hard to have the democracy that you have in your respective countries today. You have to know your politicians. A lot of people may think that, yeah, and I don't want to be political, but did you know that everything that you do is political? You know? So you really have to be conscious. And now in the state of being an ASEAN advocate, you have to be conscious of your surroundings, not just in your country, but in the 10 member states. We recognize that. Number 2 is willingness. Are you really willing? Are you really willing to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals? A lot of people don't tend to think that we are in a climate emergency problem. Despite us already seeing the climate change effects that is happening in our society. Have you seen it? Did you see the pollution? Look at your house. Look at your house. Name at least 10 things that are consumed or produced by plastic. These are things that we tend to really need to know. And number 3 is consistent action. Are we consistent? This is my challenge to the organizer. I believe the organizers are in a university, but the challenge is, what happens next after you leave the university? What's your initiative now for your surroundings, for your fellow people? So these are my tools, if personally, and for you to ensure that you get to have these in whatever initiative that you do, in whatever you do, these things are really essential, because these, for me, are the three things that makes us really proactive citizens. We know the Sustainable Development Goals. I believe all of us are here because we want to solve it. And these goals aren't for us. These goals are for our fellow people. These are for us and are for our future generations. For our problems now, we have to really know our role. We have to learn our role before applying our role. You want to be leaders, then work for it. A position is earned, and a leader is someone that leads his fellow people. We are so driven today by position. We want position for our resume so that we can get a great job, because that has been the standard of society. We want to attain good grades. We want to be the best in this. We want to have all the awards. I'm not saying that it's bad, because I have to admit, I myself, sometimes I have that competitive natures too. But if we forget our essence, if we forget our role, if we forget the purpose of the education system, which the answer is for us to be the best versions of ourselves, then these awards, these achievements mean nothing. We have a big role as the youth. You know, in the Philippines, we usually have this stigma. Oh, you're too young to have a girlfriend. And now once you get a girlfriend, oh, you're too old now. You're too old to do your childish acts. You know, those are stigmas that we tend to learn a lot. But as the youth, you know, as someone that has volunteered since I was 9 years old, I already, you know, I'll tell more about my story, since I was someone that was once in poverty. But you have to know that we have a big role. And it doesn't stop by just being a student. It doesn't stop by just being an employee of a company. We are citizens of our respective nations, and we are all citizens of the ASEAN, Association of Southeast Asian Networks. You have to know our role first. And if you would like to expand on this, I would suggest these two things. This is Ikigai. Ikigai is the first suggestion. It's actually really a deeper concept, but I'd like to focus on the golden circle. Who here knows Simon Sinek? If you know who Simon Sinek is, he has one of the most viewed, best viewed TED Talks of all time. And he discusses the golden circle magnificently. This is not only for your job as advocates for the Sustainable Development Goals, but on you as humans as well of this earth. The golden circle basically asks you three things: why, how, what. So for example, maybe your career, what do you want to be? Oh, I want to be the president of, let's say, this company. Let's say you want to be the president of ABCD company. How will you do that? You do that by working hard. Why do you want to do it? The why question is very hard for us today, because there are a lot of external factors, from our pride, from our peers, from what society wants you to bring in. Because if your why on being a leader, if your why for the Sustainable Development Goals is for yourself, that in itself isn't genuine. Your why is your heart. Your why is what makes you continue going. Because if you have a concrete why, I'll tell you this, the rest just follows. Your supporters follow, the people who will be supporting you in your initiatives follow. Because the truth is easily seen. The people who are true are easily seen. I tell you that. So now, how can I contribute? Let's go on this how question, because I believe someone asked earlier. I got his name. He's very handsome. I mean, all of you are very handsome, very beautiful. But I'd like to, I forgot the name of some, but there was someone here that asked the representative of UNDP on how can I contribute? What are the social movements that I can follow? There are actually a lot. But now I'll get into the essence of why active citizenship and selfless rendition of social responsibility is very important. So why should I be an active citizen? Why should I be an active citizen? Because you are accountable in being a citizen. You know, in my country, we tend to always blame the government, but it always takes two to tango. You can't just blame the government. You have to have your own initiative as well. And UNESCAP's, if you know UNESCAP, the United Nations, UNESCAP, in one of their studies, it states that there are 8 8. There are 8 factors of what makes an effective government, and one of which is being participatory. And as active citizens, we are called to be participatory. You can't just be lying around, lying around in your house, just watching Netflix in your house is a decision already. Having no clear decision on your opportunity cost is something that is a decision itself. So know that all of us, essentially, literally all of us, have an essential role for the Sustainable Development Goals. And it starts by this term that you may hear a lot often. It's acting locally, thinking globally. So you start by being an active citizen on the local level before once you figure that out, after being in the bottom-up approach, after working on the local community, then you go to the regional level, because it just really cannot be instant. You start small, you start from scratch. You start from the smallest of your societies in your family. It's quite contradictory if you are one of those people who rally for climate change, but not influence your family inside your homes about sustainable energy tricks such as solar light. We use solar light in our house. All these different renditions into having sustainable energy solutions, or any sustainable solutions rather, by recycling your water, by all these other things that you can do. And now in active citizenship, one thing is also social responsibility. For political science students, you may hear this a lot. So active citizenship and social responsibility. But I wanted to make a different rendition of it, which is the selfless rendition of social responsibility. We have a responsibility, and in every responsibility that we have, we are accountable for it. So if you were to follow that logic, you may ask yourself, does that mean that it's our fault that the world is experiencing climate change? I may not say that directly as your fault, but here's the thing: the past generation has done its best, or may have not done its best. And that is why we are at the best point in our lives to create change, is because we are the ones adaptive. We are the ones who grew from half of the last generation to the growth of this generation, because we were essentially built, we were essentially adaptive. If you were to look at psychological studies and sociology studies into this matter, so you get to contribute. Because if you want to contribute in an organization, in a movement, it's part of that. It's part of being an active citizen, based on the bottom up approach of development of nations as a whole. CSOs are part of that. Civil society groups are part of being active citizens. So that is how we can contribute. Now I'd like to share a story of mine. This is Youth Advocates for the Philippines. I call this my baby. I'll tell you a story. So this is Youth Advocates for the Philippines, Inc. I can consider it one of the biggest youth organizations in the Philippines. These are its numbers. We've been established 13 months. We have currently more than 10,000 member advocates. We've had more than 350 initiatives, 100,000 beneficiaries. Our ages, this is actually very important, and this is what I love most about the organization, is we accept ages from 13 to 21. And our Facebook likes and our social media pages have blown up just less than a year. And if people were to ask me what's so special about this organization, it's because YAP wants to nourish patriotism to an individual. Because based on studies in the Philippines, having an identity, we're all losing our identity. If you know what the term of nation state is, and if you know that this year is the year of ASEAN identity, you would get to know what identity I mean. Having one clear identity, being pro your country. So knowing that there is no identity already in the next generation, we established YAP to have that, for them to be patriotic. Because That's where inspiration comes from. That's where all of us will be empowered to go. We looked at the source of empowerment. One more thing, in psychology, these ages from 13 to 21 are the ages wherein one loses his own identity, is having a self problem, having, identity problems. So while they're having that problem, we guide them directly. We work with psychologists, we work with professionals for them to go back in shape, because in our premature age and our pre-adult life, we get to progress a lot. But if there's one thing that we'd like to let them have in that process, it's them being patriotic, it's them being conscious, it's them being active as members of society. That's the foundation. That's why I always say this: before you become a leader, you have to be a volunteer. You can't be a leader if you don't know what volunteerism is. Volunteerism is always for others. It's selflessness. It's for the betterment of others. And I always say this: and every talk that I get invited to, I would always say that the solution or the formula for those who love math is this: volunteer plus advocacy equals leadership. A lot of leaders today do not have advocacy. So what do you fight for? Advocacy is very different from activism. So those are things that I'd like to point out. All right. So now, this is what's very correlate. You might think, what the hell is this? This is a Project Archipelago. So you may be asking, what is this? So Youth Advocates for the Philippines had a lot of volunteer experts. We had professionals from education sector, from different sectors. And for some, based on our research, through the help of the UNDP's project, the SDG Action Survey, we got to see that a lot of people don't follow the SDGs because they think it's so complicated, and because they think that it's not needed. It's not needed for them to follow it. So what is this? Archipelago, Indonesia and the Philippines are archipelagos. What is an archipelago, for those who do not know what an archipelago is? It's a scattered group of islands. That's why it's hard to mobilize. The Philippines has more than 7,000 islands. I believe Indonesia is a group of 1,000 islands as well. You have to go boat for boat, plane for plane. So why did we do this? This is what we consider our localized SDGs, for the people in grade school to already have a grasp of what the SDGs is. And if you can see in your screens, and every single letter of archipelago is the abbreviation. So we have A for arts, culture, and media awareness, R for research, innovation, so on and so forth, to O in achieving one unified youth. So this is a framework that has been tested and is still pending in our Department of Education. But this has been the Philippine Youth Framework that we have been pushing through for our youth sector, for SOMI, for those who know the terms in ASEAN, and for the youth sector. All right? And then, because of the story, because of the success that we had in YAP, a lot of colleagues actually, after attending one ASEAN meeting with Dr. Yang with Accord for the ASEAN Youth Plan for 2021 to 2025, I was messaged by one of the EYSD officers that told me, "Hey, why don't you get to continue this in an ASEAN level?" At first, I was scared, I have to admit. And then, a lot of people wanted it. A lot of people thought of our formula or our way of engaging the youth was something great. We faced a lot of adversity. I'd like to point out that as well, that a lot of people tend to think that CSOs are a competition. They're not. We're all helping for society. If you think that CSOs are here for comparison, no, that's wrong. So we established this on ASEAN Day to make it memorable, to make it, parallel, and we started it with an event which was attended by 1,000 people. And currently, if you get to do the math, we've been just over 3 months, and we already have 5,000 members, 7 country chapters, 10,000 beneficiaries. And I believe we went to the podcast route because we saw that podcasting was one of the rising things in Southeast Asia. If you go to Spotify right now or Apple Music, if you search ASEAN, there are not a lot of podcasts out there. And once we got to maximize that, what we did was doing this podcast. And after that, we saw us being the #1 nonprofit podcast in Southeast Asia. I was shocked that there was notifications on us having a lot of compliments, a lot of reviews on the podcast. Because a podcast, I believe this conference can be a podcast as well, because it's really easy to create a podcast. It's basically an audio file, So it's one way or another of us reaching to the youth in some capacity. And I think that's one of the, if you notice, we established this on August 8th, which means that this was made during the pandemic. And, our goal is for this to be sustainable. Our goal is, of course, to impact more people. And, that requires funding. We currently have no funding right now, but through the help of everyone, through our cross collaborations with UNDP Philippines, with the ASEAN Youth Forum, with other ASEAN organizations, ASEAN University Network, hopefully soon with the ASEAN Foundation, we get to continue this initiative of ours. So now we go back to our why. Our whys is we tend to complicate things. We already have the goal. The Sustainable Development Goals were a framework for us to know what it looks like, the world that we envision. We already have our what. So if we go back to the golden circle, our what is the Sustainable Development Goals? Our how is for us to be active participants as youth members in society. And now we go on to our why. We tend to complicate things. So why not stick to the basics? Why not just focus on our foundation first? Because in a world where we want everything instant, we have to recognize that the importance of development, especially youth development. And, it's for us to be informed, to educate, and inspire. These are things that you would tend to hear a lot. Like myself in this talk. My goal here is to inform. Not a lot of people will do the next steps, unfortunately. Some will get to research more about it. They get to be educated. They get to go into courses. And once they become educated, they get to be in the same platform as myself. That's why I always say to myself, do not be impressed by me, and be impressed by everyone that has been working around me. And that's when you get the chance to inspire. That's a sustainable framework already. These things that you hear right now should not just enter this ear, then just leave another ear. It should be inherited into yourself. This is actually very important for me. The second point. Let's change the cycle. Let's break the stigma. What cycle do I need? The past generation has done its ups and downs. We should be growing up from it. That is why we develop every day. That is why we progress every day. We already know what were the things wrong. The war, focusing on nuclear energy, some part of it. Focusing on unsustainable ways. Focusing on plastic, producing a ton of plastic. Having a law, having an agreement, the Paris Agreement, having a lot of agreements about climate change, yet with no solution for it or no progress to it till this day. Once we know that we are the generation that gets another chance to right the wrongs of the past generation, then that's where we go on and continue. I'm sorry for my wrong spelling on sustainability. Do not check that. But again, to cap off, everyone benefits in sustainability. And the fact that you're doing it through your volunteerism, through your why, through your purpose of serving the community is something that is so amazing. This is the truth. The SDGs are there for us to be guided, but it will be nothing without our action. Why did I talk about the MDGs being the best for developing countries? It's because the MDGs were made for developing countries. I have a rhetorical question for you. If you'd like to be challenged, if you'd like to be a student in development studies, if you are a developing country, what would you choose first? The MDGs or the SDGs? They're not a competition. It's just that based on studies on development studies, the needs that you want to solve, like number one, which is very hard to solve in no poverty, is something that we have to solve now. It's very important. And because once you achieve the MDGs, then you go to the other aspects of the Sustainable Development Goals. Both are made by the UN. Both are made for better communities for all. But again, I'd like to ask you that. But the SDGs are the best vision for you. It's the best. And again, on another truth, these SDGs that were implemented, the events that we have, this webinar is nothing. The impact that it holds is nothing if we do not act upon it. And the best time to do that is now. I have a blank screen. But yeah, that's thank you. But before that, I'd like to have a short story of mine. So yeah, you can follow me there. And if you'd like to be a member, you can screenshot this right now. I'll be stopping my screen. And before that, I want to give my last words. Number one, I was someone that experienced poverty. We were in poverty when I was a little kid. We lived in the suburbs of it was a town called Napua. If you know Bicol, Bicol is usually this province that always gets hit by the storm. We were in poverty for about 5 years. I remember the times where whenever there would be rain, our roof would be destroyed. And because of the help of my family members and because of their hard work, they were able to successfully finish their studies, get a job, and do all these things. I am an advocate because of that. Because I'm here to tell you that you don't need to be someone that is the best in class. You don't need to be a leader ever since the beginning. It's not always about the position. That's why I agree with what was stated earlier. You don't need a role in order to play a role because you already had a role.
Yeah. Okay. So probably Myris.
Okay. Last word. Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. I speak a lot. But yeah, to give you a hint of a last question. In a world changing for better or for worse, what can you do about it? So yeah, thank you so much for gracing me. I am very privileged to be with all of you, and I hope all of you have a great, amazing day.
Yeah, thank you so much, Myris, for the really, really cool. I mean, sometimes we tend to, being tired after 3 or 2 hours of conference, but now I am actually up for it because what you said is actually really true and it's very relevant to all of us as a youth. So and now I would like to invite participants to ask the questions. So there is one question from Alvin from the Philippines, but I guess he cannot join us directly. So I would like to reread his questions. So this is what Alvin said, Myris. We all know that all the youth are aware about the different advocacies, and not all families or school here in our country, referring to Philippines, are not in support to a leader who wanted to stand on its own. How can you manage to stand even though many people didn't want to support you? And how can we reach the other youths, even our family and schools, to get engaged on this kind of advocacies? So maybe you can proceed to that questions before we ask another one.
Yeah, that's actually really true. Not a lot of, in the Philippines, what's really sad is they only give leadership seminars to those who are seen as leaders. So they see you as a leader if you're active. They see you as a leader if you're someone that volunteers to be a leader. But not all have the courage because all of us may be born as an introvert or extrovert. So again, I would always say this. I'm a big advocate for education. And I want to instill that there should be opportunities for everyone because everyone has to be a leader so that you may be able to adjust as a leader or a follower. You may not fit that role always, but yes, that is true. How did I manage to stand up? Because there was no one to stand up. There's no one going to be standing up because no one's, opportunities are earned. It's never given. And as a Filipino, I've always had this mentality wherein it's either you or no one. So are you going to be someone that stands up for it? And fortunately, through being through the support maybe of my family, through the support of my friends that believed in me, I got to stand up because you're the only person that can support you is yourself. And yeah, so I'd like you to trust and believe in yourself.
Okay. Thank you for the answers, and I hope it answers what Alvin has said. I would like to encourage more participants to ask questions. Okay. Okay, so we have Rashida. Do you want to ask the questions directly, Rashida?
Okay. Boleh.
Yeah.
Okay, so hello, Mr. Myres. I would like to ask, as in SDGs and Project Archipelago, I think the project seems kind of difficult to make it happen in real life. What can we do as a young people to actually participate and make a difference that will benefit our country? Thank you.
That's a good question. And I'd like to throw another question to you.
Okay.
Do you think, no, a rhetorical question for everyone.
Okay.
Okay. So, don't you think that the sustainable development goals, achieving the sustainable development goals, are also hard to be done in real life? We have 10 years. I'd like you to ask that. Even just maybe in your country. It's hard. I consider the SDGs as a vision. Realistically speaking, can we achieve it? No. But I think the best thing that we can obtain from it is having our lifestyle, is having our own dedication and determination for having a lifestyle such as that. You know, the goal is for the goal to be inherited into oneself. So yes, I can say that Archipelago and the SDGs are hard to be obtained in real life. Can we really achieve poverty? Can we achieve no poverty? That seems to be the hardest question that the UN can still not answer till today. But for us to be inherited, for us to recognize what needs to be solved is what's going to make us participate and be the difference for our respective countries. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Myres. Is it?
Thank you.
Do you have any? Okay. So I thought you have another following questions.
No, thank you.
Is there any more questions for Myres? Okay. While waiting, Myres, perhaps we could talk a bit about what you did with your. How do you shorten it out? AYAN.
Oh yeah, AN, yeah,
AN.
Yeah.
AN. Okay, so it's relatively like a new what is it, groups, right? As you founded like 2019. So how do you influence? How do you gather so much people in such a short time? And perhaps you could actually inspired us, because we wanted to at least influence other people, or like campaigning our stuff rather than inventing or like innovate in this present era.
Yeah.
Could you comment on that, Myres?
Yeah, I'd love to share that. A lot of people tend to think that our numbers are like fake and are bloated, but I'm actually very fortunate because before establishing these organizations, I actually took up a lot of marketing classes
Okay.
from like universities in the States. But it really takes a lot of research. If not research, maybe observations. What do you think best interests you? How do you, what do you think best interests your fellow age groups? And, the answer to that would be a lot of things. We really have to keep up with the trends. My answer is going to be actually a very businessman answer. But I think what's going to be different in a organization standpoint, in a nonprofit standpoint, is the human side of itself. Whenever I get to speak, or whenever I practice, before I would always be accused by my friends by speaking like a politician, and you shouldn't. You're not here to campaign. You're here to share your story. So in everything that I do, and in every orientation, and every chance that we get to speak on the floor and promote my two organizations, I share my story. That's always, in this world of us trying to have a lot of mass, trying to have a different image, trying to portray something in social media where we are not, which I believe all of us can be guilty of. We have to show our human side of it, that we are imperfectly perfect, and that we want to create the change that we want to be. We're not the best leaders. We have this vision, and what's going to separate us is our effort to achieve that vision.
Okay, thank you so much. So there is questions finally. Okay, I can open the mic because of internet. Okay, so I'll just gonna read it out for you. So it's from the Philippines, Bernardino. Oh, it's a school, is it? Okay, Diana asking the questions. Learning that there are a lot of volunteers in the organizations. How can you put them together despite the diversity? Meaning how unity and harmony put in the center despite the large numbers that you have?
That's actually a great question. And you know, my number one answer to that would be one word, and it's really pride. We are so prideful. Don't you think? I mean, I consider myself prideful. But in a non-profit organization, in an organization that aims to help, you know, if I were to define an organization, a non-profit one, it's for you to help. So in order for you to help, you step aside your personal wants and go for what the wants for everyone are, the needs for what everyone are. So yeah, I think, you know, not a lot will be united. You know, I can't go and force them, you know, I can't force them to think about others before themselves, because that's the diversity of it. All of us have different religions, different beliefs, but what I would always say is we started with trust, and if ever you were to achieve or not to achieve it, that's on you. You know, we give the way, but as you know, also in parenting, I'd like to compare this to parenting. As a parent, you tend to hate it when your parents still drop you at school, or maybe just go around with you at school, even if you're an adult or a college student already. It's like, on what I mean by that is they're going to be in touch with you on your growing stages. But for you to be tested and for you to grow, you have to be just coached. You have to have maybe a mentor, but you can't be spoon fed. You can't be treated like a baby on your whole life. So meaning to say, yes, unity and harmony is hard. And, you know, along the way, expect that there will be no unity and harmony. But that's how you grow. You need to have mistakes in order for you to know what your mistakes are and get to know what the right things are. So yeah, that's my answer to that question. Really great question.
Okay, thank you so much, Myris. So because the time is up, I would like to again to thank Dr. Yang, Ms. Ainul, and Myris for, you know, being here today. And I would like to encourage all of the participants now, because we are going to proceed to the photo sessions. So I would like to encourage all the participants to open your camera so that we can, you know, have a memento together for taking a pictures. I hope that the committee will check whether it's already enough people. Okay, we are still waiting. The committee, is it okay now? It's okay for all the participants that cannot open their video because of connections. That's okay, but I would like to encourage more participants to open their camera, please. It's perhaps once in a lifetime to take a pictures together with the ASEAN Foundation's representative, UNDPs, and also Myris. Okay. Operator, is it okay now? Wait a moment, okay? Perhaps you could actually just look at yourself a little bit and touch up before we take a pictures. Okay. I still haven't heard from the operator. Is it okay now? Okay. Because only like 2 layers of two pages, I meant. Okay, so while waiting, after this photo sessions, we are going to go directly to invite all the representative from each chamber to present their findings on the discussions yesterday. But now we are going to have the photo sessions along with the experts today. Amara, is it okay now? Okay, all good. So now on my mark, 3, 2, 1, smile. Okay, we are going to take another one. So please stand by first because there are 2 pages. Okay, on my mark, 1, 2, 3, smile everyone to the camera. Okay, I guess it's all done. Amara, is it all done? Okay, all done. Thank you so much for everyone joining us today. And I thank again Dr. Yang, Miss Ainu, and Myris for, participating and share what you have had and your experience as well. And all of this would be, encapsulated into conclusions that I would like to present later on as the sessions ends. Now we are going to proceed to our next agenda, but I guess the speakers may have to leave. So perhaps Dr. Yang, you could say something before you go.
Thank you so much, organizing committee and Myris, and also Ainola. It was great to see everyone here in this platform. And then as I mentioned, most of you full of energy, as what the MC was saying, he's full of energy, young people. Please join us in our alumni setup and all some of our programs. And I take notes that Myris mentioned, not everybody is born to be leader. So that's why there are a role playing in our life, even in the family, in anywhere. Some people are playing as a supportive. Some people are very good in details. Some people are very good in the front. So that's why everybody has a different functions in our life. So I hope that you identify your strength in yourself and where you are at, and then use it to your maximum to benefit community and yourself also, okay? So all the best, and stay safe and stay healthy, everyone. So we will see you again in another webinar. Thank you, and take care, the organizer. Congratulations. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Yang. Are you going to Ms. Ainu?
Yeah, thank you, Amira.
Okay, but before that, I would like to ask for the project officers first. So before logging it off, I would like to invite the project officers of AYIC today to present the certificates for all the speakers first. So please.
Thank you for Dr. Yang Mi Ang for the opportunity for us. And I hope you stay healthy and happy, Dr. Yang. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Now we may proceed to Miss Ainu. Certificate.
Thank you.
Thank you for Miss Ainul Jula.
So perhaps do you have any closing statement? A brief?
Yeah,
Miss Ainul?
just very quick. Thank you, Amira, and thank you, Milani. Dr. Yang, thank you for the insights. It's very encouraging to see the many programs that ASEAN Foundation is working on now, making progress amid the pandemic. And Myris, the spirit, the energy is contagious. Thank you for sharing today. I hope that everyone here coming back to their community and do something, just simply care about your community and to get creative, be innovative and collaborate. Thank you. Stay safe, stay healthy and keep up the good spirit.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ms. Ainul. Now we are going to proceed to Myris. So I would like to invite again Milani to present the certificate.
Thank you very much for Myris. It was such amazing and inspiring presentation as youth representative of ASEAN. Thank you very much.
Yeah, perhaps Myris, do you have any closing statement before stepping out of this meeting room?
First and foremost, thank you on behalf of the organizers to Ms. Ainul and to Dr. Yang. You are the type of people that inspire me. Both of your jobs are jobs that I wish to be working with someday, and please continue. And on behalf of the participants and to everyone here, yeah, I think I challenge you on your next steps, because I think the real challenge and real question is, what do you do after this conference? So thank you again to all of you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Myris, and thank you so much, Milani, for presenting the certificates to all of the experts. And now we are going to proceed to the discussion output that has been talked for over yesterday's sessions. And hopefully this will actually enlighten us and also all the participants and speakers regarding to each respective chamber. So I would like to invite Rahilia Salsabila and Fritz Padrogado from the chamber, the first chamber of the SDGs 2 Zero Hunger.
Thank you, moderator.